I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grieving. Put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it, I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it, you know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic, keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me, I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this, freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus, living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it, go on and take your aim, yeah.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the gas, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grieving. Put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, yeah.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
When we get to the FBI, we don't know who did the work. You heard that any of that information is redacted. We don't know who did the work. It's a giant secret. We know that by the time the FBI gets involved, the profile, the text file, that's a snip to use to try to identify somebody is more than twice as big when it gets to the FBI from Othram. We don't know how.
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What is going on, Hive? I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Apologies for being 30 minutes late. there was really no excuse other than I was just not happy with how I had the slides set up. And so I bumped it back. I felt like the visuals tonight needed to be, oops, we got the audio coming in loud and clear. I felt like the visuals tonight needed to be really good because you're going to either love this stream or you're going to hate it. Okay. I feel like the Hive loves to sit right there, right in that middle ground. You're either going to love this or you're going to hate it. But hey, that's what the Hive is. We discuss everything. We question everything. We're not easily rattled or offended. And if this is your first time tuning in, I'm your host, Birdie. I go live weeknights at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. And I am so happy that everybody is choosing to spend their evening here with the best chat on YouTube, who's got the best mods on YouTube, being Luna Bliss, formerly known as Beck, UFO Dog, and Discord Dawn. I'm going to be going into the leak theory with the Dateline leak, the court documents about it. Is there an investigation with a special prosecutor? And I'm going to lay out not necessarily an alternate theory, just an alternate series of events. This is not meant to try to discredit other theories. I just think that this has to be talked about. I haven't really heard anybody say this or look into it. Everybody just blows it off like it's just nothing, okay? So let's see who's all tuning in. We got Narrative Combatant. What's going on? Jenna, Anna BD, Mrs. Birdie. How are you doing? CGE 3333, Germilla, Dina, Beverly Fike, UFO Dog, Jamie Delgman, Yipsy Gecko, Simply Dory, Growth Renewal, Jesse Ray. That's enough of that. Okay. Blue Eyed Candy, great to see you. Riz Fizz, Carrie D1, Fiji, how are you doing? Good to see you. Pinto Sack, UK Karen, Ulsterman 72, how are you doing? Tiffany Alina. Yeah. I got a crush on you. Sue Ann, Big Stacy, Lucid Melody, Casey8, Momo's Thinking, Luna Bliss, Michelle Vibe Happy, Rachel, who lives near the ice wall, one of my favorite usernames of all time, Kawanda, K Wolf, Majestic Princess. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest in the Hive tonight, and we are honored to have the trolliest of trolls, Jeff H. What's up, man? Curious to hear your thoughts on this one. Somewhat, kind of. JJ Slays, Aaron RD. Guys, please go ahead as you're filing in, hit that like button. Share this out to your normie NPC friends or anybody who thinks that Brian Koberger is so guilty. There's so much evidence against Brian Koberger. There's so much evidence that it's not even worth looking into. Send it to those people. Let's wake them up. So yes, please tap like, hit subscribe. If you do want to, where's that button? If you want to screenshot this after the live concludes, all you got to do is go into your photos, tap the QR code. That will take you to all the Hive socials. It'll take you to our Discord, which I highly recommend you join. It'll take you to my TikTok. It will take you to a Spotify playlist for all the intro songs, as well as it will take you to the HiveMindStore.com, which again, UFO Dog added some bracelets and some chains. We got hats, we got hoodies, we got Scrub Truck t-shirts, we got Can't Be Redacted. We also did just add from a suggestion on a live that I popped into on TikTok last night. Somebody said, can you get Can't Be Redacted or This Design's Been Redacted trucker hats? So those are now up on Hive Mind Store as well. So I'm going to try to break this down and get into it as crystal clearly as I can. So whenever I do this, sometimes I don't catch the chat as much as I would like to. All right. But we're going to walk through a very popular reconstruction theory, but we're just going to focus on a single moment, a single sentence, rather. And that's going to be when somebody inside the house realizes that an intruder or intruders are in there, right? We all know that there is a moment when somebody says, someone's in here. Like that's not a rumor, rather. That's not speculation. But there's a question that goes with it that I don't think we talk about enough. In a college house that has 5 people inside of it, or 5 cars in the driveway, 6 people inside of it, 5 females, right? 1 male. What happens inside that house when somebody notices an intruder? Put yourself in that house, hypothetically speaking, or any college house filled with college-age girls. What happens when somebody yells, someone's here, and you would think chaos, right? I would say that when somebody's discovered in a home, the entire situation of the night is going to change dramatically. Okay? People are going to react different ways. Some are going to go out and they're going to look and they're going to investigate. Others are going to hide. Others are going to try to wake people up. Maybe they call 911. Maybe they run out of the house. Everybody would react differently to, oh my God, there's somebody in our house. But I want to talk about the moment they discovered it tonight. Now, I have notes that I'm reading off of because, again, I want to make sure that I go through this crystal clearly. We watched this last night, okay? I'm not going to go into it, okay? So nobody get their panties in a bunch. I promise you, we're not going to go into it. All I was showing was that I thought it was a really awesome program this girl uses. I don't agree with her hypothesis or the animation aspect, but there's a couple things that I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Or, oh, wow, that's a good catch. Or why is she talking about Xana interrupting the intruder? Why is Dateline the only one talking about Xana going upstairs and interrupting the attack? That is very strange to me. So that's what we're going to be diving into. And I'm going to walk through just an alternate scenario because I don't think enough people have talked about that, especially given the fact that there's a leak with a special prosecutor referencing Dateline. One's in the chat if you guys are following me. All we're going to look into is that one sentence of Xana potentially interrupting the attack. One's in the chat if you are following. Okay, this is a discussion. All right, cool. A lot of ones in the chat. So
now I stopped the animation.
Shoot. Let me go ahead and make sure that this is. All right, so this is what I wanted to point out. This is the clip last night that my ears perked up because, again, this is said.
Now I stopped the animation here because this is the moment Xana came upstairs and interrupted the attack.
Okay, that really stuck out to me. Forget everything else on the screen, but that Xana came upstairs and interrupted the attack. That is what I spent last night and after I got home from work looking into. Is there even something to that? Where are they pulling that from? How would somebody randomly throw that into a Dateline documentary? Right? That was my thought process. Here is the court document that talks about said leak in Dateline. Based on sensitive information not previously publicly circulated that was reported during a recent Dateline TV program related to this case and the defendant, Brian Koberger, it appears likely that someone violated this court's non-dissemination order. Such violations not only undermine the rule of law, potentially by persons charged with upholding it, but also significantly impede the ability to seat an impartial jury and will likely substantially increase the cost to try this case by extending the time it will take to seat a jury and potentially requiring a lengthy period of juror sequestration. Jesus. Can't say those big words, Hive. Give me a break. Take it easy. I mean, I know, I'm sure someone's going to be like, this guy can't even say sequestration or whatever it is. Importantly, such violations potentially frustrate the ability to ensure both sides receive a fair trial. Accordingly, the court finds it is imperative to attempt to see that the source of such leak is identified and held to account, and that doing so is the best deterrent to future violations. Accordingly, the court finds it appropriate to exercise its discretion by entering this order. Sequestered. Jesus H. My B. Okay, so we have what AZ Gets or whatever her username is saying, and this is right when Xana walked upstairs. We see this thing about Dateline. Now let's watch the clip from Dateline to refresh our memories.
The killer attacked anyway. There was a struggle. It was noisy. Multiple sources close to the investigation speculate that Xana, downstairs in the second floor kitchen on TikTok, heard thumping and went to investigate. The killer must have heard this, our sources said, and turned his attention away from Maddie and Kaylee and began chasing Xana. Those same sources have told us that, with the killer in pursuit, Xana desperately tried to reach her bedroom where Ethan was sleeping or was possibly passed out. But as she reached the bedroom, the killer was on her. What one source described as a hell of a fight ensued.
Now, in my head, when I'm listening back to the Dateline documentary and I hear what one source, an anonymous source, says, okay, I'm not here to promote the Dateline documentary, but it's just that one part. That one part. Let's break that down just so that you guys can get into what my headspace was going forward with the theory that I'm about to put out after this. Do we know that Xana was awake and on TikTok? Allegedly, right? Phone activity. Do we know the DoorDash? Right? Supposedly. Is there DoorDash in the kitchen and in Xana's room? Yes. Okay. Yes. There is Jack in the Box here, Jack in the Box on the plate. We've all seen these pictures a million times. Right? I understand this is all allegedly, but I'm going for the leak. I'm going to play this first part again here.
The killer attacked anyway. There was a struggle. It was noisy. Multiple sources close to the investigation speculate that Xana, downstairs in the second floor kitchen on TikTok, heard thumping and went to investigate.
Now, oh shoot. What's really interesting, and I know that this is a little detail, but something caught my eye. Okay? Something caught my eye. Did you notice how they said she was in the kitchen? There's DoorDash in the kitchen. She was on TikTok, right? I could totally see if maybe you grabbed a plate, or if that was Ethan's plate or whoever it was, and you're hungry still, and you go out and you're like, I want more of my DoorDash. I could see that. You're scrolling your phone as you're walking out there. You hear something going on upstairs, but here's what caught my eye. Look at what they do with the camera when they say goes to investigate. Watch the camera angle in the simulation and what they say.
Multiple sources close to the investigation speculate that Xana, downstairs in the second floor kitchen on TikTok, heard thumping.
They have it going up the stairs. Right? They have it going up the stairs is how they do their camera work, which, in my opinion, is done purposefully. I think that is meant to elude that Xana went to go investigate. All right?
Went to investigate. The killer must have heard this.
Or interrupted, right?
Our sources said, and turned his attention away from Maddie and Kaylee and began chasing Xana.
I think back to what Dylan said that she heard. And this is critical. Dylan says that she only hears one person run down the stairs. Right? One person ran down the stairs, not people chasing somebody down the stairs. So that would lead you to believe there's either a killer downstairs, right, waiting for somebody that ran. And I understand, I'm going to get to the whole Kaylee part too. But, or what Dylan heard when somebody ran down the stairs was the intruder. So Xana's in the kitchen. Now, here's what I really need people to put their critical thinking hats on. Because as I said yesterday with the Steve G and Christy and Brian Enton interview, the court case is closed. So legally the case is done. But what's not done and what they don't want people to speculate on is the interpretation of data and info and facts. So we're going to listen to this now, and then I'm going to go into my hypothesis, my theory on what could have happened.
Was at 1:32, or was that around 4?
Jesus. Why was that so blown out?
Was at 1:32, or was that around 4?
Nothing happened.
And when he was barking, when you first heard him on barking after she was up there playing, did you hear him inside go outside, or did he start outside?
Murphy was with Kaylee when they were like dancing. They walked upstairs. He was still with her.
Notice how she says they walked upstairs. Okay. They walked upstairs.
And then when she yelled, "Someone's here," he started barking.
Then when she yelled, "Someone's here," she started barking.
The house. And then I believe the side door was open, and I think he went out that way because I could tell like the sound of his barking was getting like more distant.
Do you think that Murphy would have went after him, wherever he was?
Maybe, but I mean, he's a puppy. He doesn't fully know that.
No, he would just be, if anything, probably tying with him.
Yeah, I don't know.
When the guy in black left, did he close the slider or did he leave it open?
I don't know. I just ran downstairs.
Perfect.
So that's when she ran to Bethany's room, is what she was referring to.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Popped up?
No.
I'm going to go talk to my guys who've done other interviews.
Okay, so she says that Kaylee and Murphy went upstairs, and then after they were done dancing and laughing in the living room, when she yelled, "Someone's here." Now let's listen to this interview.
And what did you think? What were you thinking at this time?
I mean, I don't even know what I was thinking. I was just like, look, what in the world is going on? Like, who is that? Like, are they talking to the girl crying? Like, I don't.
And you thought the girl might be Kaylee.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think I thought.
But you're only thinking that because of the position of the bathroom in their bedrooms, but you don't know that it's Kaylee.
Yeah, I have no idea if it's Kaylee.
See, isn't that interesting that she's like, because of their bedrooms, as if it's on the third floor? I'm not going to go into that, but it's interesting. Listen to what she says. She's like, I don't know. I just thought it was Kaylee.
No clue at all. That's just what I'm thinking at that moment is like, I just thought it was Kaylee, but now I'm like, as that moment, what I thought was it was Kaylee. Now, after hearing more stuff and thinking more, it could have been Xana. But from that moment, I thought it was Kaylee.
Okay, that's still coming out of the same chick's mouth that says she doesn't know anything. I don't remember, but she's like, but now that I'm knowing more, now that I know more, it could have been Xana. Okay?
It's more important. That's what I was going to tell you. It's more important because I know you've talked to, it sounds like, from Dustin's interview.
Yeah.
Don't allow, if you can, that information to influence what you knew at the time that we're asking you these things were happening.
Again, what you knew at the time versus now she knew more. Okay. You guys get my point.
We're trying to figure out who did this, and we can't have those influences drive our, we're trying to.
Yeah. So like at that moment.
You thought it was Kaylee?
I thought it was Kaylee. I totally thought it was Kaylee.
Have you ever heard that male voice before?
No.
Okay. So it was just at that moment. Now, after I learned more, it was Xana, right? I get it. we don't really know how to treat Dylan. You got to listen to her. You got to not. You got to kind of pick apart. Stick with me. Okay, I'm going to check in one last time because I'm about to lay it out here. So one's in the chat. You guys following me still where I'm going with how Kaylee and Murphy walked upstairs. Then she said she thought it was Kaylee, but now after learning more, it could have been Xana. Dateline saying Xana interrupted the attack. Okay. Good. People have been pointing this out. Kaylee's bed looks laid in. I agree with that. I've said, I think a lot of people have said that Kaylee's room is fully furnished. Her bed's undone. Why would her and Maddie be in the same bed? This is the beginning of my theory. Simply going off of what I believe to be the leak is the Xana part, because that's really one of the only times in the Dateline documentary they say sources close to us reveal. Then we see the court documents. Let's say Dylan is telling the truth about Kaylee and Murphy walk upstairs. Kaylee and Murphy go into Kaylee's bedroom. She's getting ready for bed. The dog is with her in her room. Kaylee's in bed. Kaylee starts to hear a ruckus come from Maddie's room. Now, in this theory, here's what I'm going to say happened. Just for this theory. Kaylee hears the ruckus. Kaylee gets out of the bed. Murphy's either kenneled or he's in the room or whatever. She might close the door behind her slightly, like, so that's just cracked, almost like what you see here in this picture. And what if Kaylee at that point notices that somebody is in Maddie's room and attacking her? Stick with me. Kaylee, it's a switchback stairwell. What if Kaylee just yelled like over the ledge, or just was like by the top of the stairs and like leaned over? It's like, there's someone here. The perp grabs Kaylee. Hence why you have 100% of Kaylee's blood coming in. Now, the killer had probably already started to stab Maddie. Maddie might be bleeding out on the bed, maybe, but grabs Kaylee and punches her in the face or whatever. That's how Kaylee gets in the bed with Maddie, and the killer finishes her there, stabs them, and then covers them up. I believe that could be what posing the bodies might be about. Maybe. That could explain why they're in the same room. That could explain why the dog then gets out, starts barking, and sprints downstairs and out the back door. Xana, at the same time, really could be in the kitchen eating DoorDash on TikTok and hears like, what the hell is going on? Now, when you hear that, are you going to sprint up the stairs, or are you going to walk quietly? Maybe she's barefoot, I don't know, and go up the stairs quietly. Maybe. Or the killer looks over and sees Xana peeking up just half of the switchback. Xana's probably looking up there like, what? And if the killer's looking over to see if anybody heard that, the killer sprints down after Xana. Xana goes and tries to barricade herself in the room and is holding the door. So yeah, Xana probably was holding the door, and the splatter that you see on Xana's light switch probably was the attacker trying to stab her and get in. I don't know. But in my head, what if Kaylee was grabbed there? I understand we have to address blood in the living room. I'm going to lean into that. Okay. Now you could say there's no blood transfer. Here's one of my other points. What if there was two attackers in Maddie's room and they split? And the attacker that might have just been a lookout chase Xana. And that's why there's no DNA mix downstairs, potentially. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a reason on how the source close to them, the only time that it said is that Xana interrupted the attack. It still would be viable because you could see the plate of food in her room. Maybe she was going out for seconds in the kitchen on TikTok, heard it, looks up the switchback stairs. The killer sprints down right after Kaylee yells, "Someone's here." And if you're Dylan and you're in your room and the door's shut, you hear someone's here, and then you hear shit coming down the stairs, you would probably assume that it's whoever yelled, "Someone's here." Xana's trying to hold the door. Who knows what happens, but that's, and then maybe it spills out into the hallway where Ethan's blood's there. I don't know. That's the beginning of my working theory for the leak. And I have this video from Pav. Shout out to Pavarotti. This was a really well done analysis. And I just kind of built off it. I know there's different ways to go about it, but I'm just trying to think of what would be the leak. And then if Steve's saying, I think the leak's fake. Okay, well, again, we have to pick and choose. But Dylan did say she only heard one person come down. So let's listen to what Pav says. This was really good.
And right there it is. Marker number 48 going into Maddie's room. You've got a blood swipe coming from the outside in. Somebody walking in the room. And that test 100% Kaylee. Now, if Kaylee is in the bed with Maddie and they're both attacked and the underliver leaves the room, how does he get Kaylee's blood and just Kaylee's blood on this door, swiping it from the outside in?
That's why there's more to this clip. But if Kaylee got out of bed and heard some shit going down in Maddie's room, and then she was kind of attacked right there at the top, which we see blood at the top of the switchback, she gets pulled in, thrown onto the bed, maybe a second killer runs out. I don't know. Just thinking out loud here.
Your whole scenario is impossible with them both being in the room at the same time.
Yes.
But here's the proof in the pudding. There it is when they're bringing Kaylee in injured before the attack. And there's marker X as they leave the room and swipe the door after attacking Kaylee in the bed with Maddie. Swipe going out just below the swipe that was coming in. By the way, when you look at the door like this, it's pretty easy to see what happened. This swipe stain tested 100% Kaylee. No cross-contamination of Maddie. Going in. This swipe stain tested 70% Kaylee, 30% Maddie. Going out. That means Maddie was unalived in the bed first. Kaylee was brought in, as the evidence shows right here, before she was unalived, just injured, attacked in the bed, and then after the attack, the assailant left swiping the door right there with both of their DNA.
Correct. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. It's just now there's Maddie's blood downstairs. I find it odd that Dylan was so adamant that she heard someone's in the house and then running downstairs, but not people chasing her, not a fight scene outside of her room, like right there, not dragging her back. I don't know. There's a lot to think through. So now it's like, again, how does Kaylee's blood get downstairs? That's obviously, that's a huge question, right? That is a huge question. Is there a way that Kaylee's blood still ends up in the living room? That's kind of my working theory. I want to hear your guys' thoughts just in general about my hypothesis on the leak being that Xana may have actually been in the kitchen and looked up. Maybe a killer was, there could have been a second person on like lookout just right there that grabbed Kaylee, like I said, brought her into the room, just like the video that Pav said. And the one person chased Xana, and she took refuge by her boyfriend, Ethan, in the room. Hence why when people say Xana was attacked when the door was opened, she could have been leaning up against it. The debate would be, again, cast off or spatter. I'm not a blood expert, right? I think that you could, there's people that I did just play pause video, and I know that he believes Kaylee was downstairs and maybe knocked out and then taken back upstairs. I mean, that could be the case too. But again, that would mean that there would have to be multiple intruders inside that house, very, very, very coordinated. When I say multiple, like 3 or 4 that are all ready to jump. That could happen. Like, don't get me wrong, that could happen. So this is where I'd like our discussion to begin. And I know that I just asked for your guys' thoughts, but ones in the chat, if that's at least maybe plausible for the leak, all the chaotic details, we can talk through and speak on them now. But that really got me thinking, given how, again, Dylan said, well, now that I'd learned more, I learned it was Xana, but initially she thought it was Kaylee, maybe because she heard Kaylee yell. It's not necessarily changing that there's multiple perps. It's not necessarily changing that Kaylee was attacked outside of Maddie's room and brought in, hence the bodies posed. But it's just kind of, where was everybody in that house? Like I said, and how I started this stream is, what happens in a college house full of girls when there's an intruder inside? Chaos? Do people hide? Do they run? Do they call the cops? Right? So I saw a handful of ones. A lot of ones. All right. Right. Law Cheek 79 said, but then it goes to the fact, how did no one hear anything? I agree with that. How does nobody hear anything? And so if your girlfriend's running to safety, maybe, but Ethan's blood is out on that half wall. So Love and Other Habits, that's a good point. Like, Birdie, if you believe this, then you must believe the 4 a.m. timeline. In this theory, yeah, I'm going with that 4 a.m. timeline. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm talking about the leak. The leak that, again, had court documents filed over it. There's apparently a special prosecutor. That is what I mean by this theory. Like, was the leak Xana somehow interrupting them? Because why would they care so much about that? That was my second question. If that is the case, why would they care about that getting leaked? I understand a non-dissemination order. But, you know, and I see people saying, like, I don't think Xana left her room. If you if you're thinking that just because there's not blood outside of her room, again, she's not bleeding even if she was in the kitchen eating. The sliding back door being open already, though, is odd, but that would mean that when Dylan saw that, but then how does Murphy run out unless it's like there's all this chaos going on? And did Murphy run out after the fact? And guys, please take a second, hit that like button. We got almost 770 people in here, about 300 likes. Let's try to get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. And let's see. Sherlock said, sorry, I got a text from. Sorry about that. So Sherlock said, not necessarily. The second floor attack could still happen just 1 hour, 7 minutes, 26 seconds prior to 4 a.m. I still maintain that the crime window was 2:52 to 3:13. And thank you for the super chat. Truth Seeker So Awake said, but what about those god awful screams? You can't fake that. I agree. I totally agree. You can't fake that. We can now, if you guys want to try to, again, dissect the entire night, I'm trying to just specifically talk about the leak, right? If that is what it is. I could see how that leak would be plausible. What does that change now? That's what we have to dive into. Does it change the timeline? Does it change Ethan and Xana being home and being left out of the narrative? Were they, I don't know. Lauren Lovely said their stories just don't make sense. That's why we were doing mental gymnastics to make it make sense. I agree with some things. Totally. I agree, but I'm looking for outliers. Like I said, Dateline has the leak. They're the only people that have said, sources close to us say that Xana was in the kitchen eating DoorDash on TikTok and interrupted. That's what my kind of alarm bells went off for. So if that's mental gymnastics, maybe to see like, how could that be given the fact that we were told a bunch of fake stories or lies or cover up stories? Yeah, I guess it sounds like they did mental gymnastics for their PCA and everything else. That was not a knock at you, Carmick. That was a Wolf of Wall Street reference. Mermaid Redacted Beehole said, did I see Dago's live with WSU mom Kim was on his live today? I did see that, yes. And I did not watch the full thing, but I did tune in for like the last 5 minutes. That might be a good thing to go back and watch for sure. Xana's phone data should have elevation info on it too. Snapchat measures topical elevations and GPS too. That was in part of the Dateline series. Again, that was in part of the Dateline episode, which again, I felt like the Dateline episode, the narrative around it was like somebody gave Chat GPT bath salts, right? It felt like there was a group project due tomorrow. And it's like when you go wake your mom up and you're like, Mom, she's already in bed asleep. And you're like, I need a poster board. I have a project due tomorrow, right? That's what it felt like. It felt like it was very rushed in a way for the narrative to stay solidified. And thank you to Donnie Brooke Kennels for the super chat. And Law Cheek said, I think you're closing in on something, Sherlock. Birdie, the body cam footage, you can hear the cops like horses on the stairs. Yeah. I don't disagree. You can hear said flashback. I agree. We can't eat the elephant all in one bite. We've gone into the audio a ton. I mean, you guys know I've been big on looking at every possible timeline, every single noise, audio enhancements. This is no different. Right? Now, how does it all fit together in one fluid timeline that ends up with such a secretive case? That's the mystery. How do we get here? How do we get to they were in their bed, killed in their sleep? That's the mystery. How do we get to that point? And how do so many people believe it? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a couple of calls here. I'm dropping the link in the chat, and I'd like to hear your guys' thought specifically on the leak theory. Okay? Don't make me be a bad guy and hang up on you. I want it to be about the leak theory or something regarding just Was it Kaylee taken at the top of the stairs? Just something regarding that moment of the intruder here. Okay. So just as a reminder, you will not be on screen at all. But I am curious if anybody has some thoughts. It will just be your voice. And I see we already got Claire UK backstage. Claire, I'm going to put you on up here.
Anybody has.
Hello.
Claire, we got you loud and clear.
Good, good. Hi, Hive, and everybody. Love y'all. This leak thing, I think there was a leak, but it was totally bullshit. Which type of leak? And they just basically got the girl wrong.
So say that. So what do you mean by this? You're saying like what do you mean the leak? Like it wasn't Xana that interrupted. It was Kaylee.
Yeah, I think it was Kaylee because I think Kaylee was in a bed.
Okay.
And somebody was in Maddie's room. Kaylee went. Obviously, the dog follows her because I think anybody with a dog, your dog just follows you if you leave the room.
Yep.
And then she ran downstairs. And then she got taken back upstairs.
By a second intruder.
Definitely a second one. There's got to be a second one.
But already waiting?
I don't think there's any possibility of just one. Not anymore.
I agree. But I'm saying, so she runs downstairs. Where do you think the second intruder was? And at that point, are Xana and Ethan already unalived? Or like what? Describe the second floor.
I think Xana and Ethan were the last ones. I think when she was running downstairs, somebody was already there. That house has 3 levels. So you're going to need at least 3 people watching, listening and waiting. Because all the hoo-ha we hear is just too much for just one person doing it. How they expect us to actually believe it. It's just impossible. And if you actually think about it and listen to the audio again and think in your head this new theory with this leak, but the different girl, you can actually hear it. And you can imagine it in your head as you're listening to the audio. You can hear heads hitting walls and horrible things.
What? So you're obviously in the camp of the audio enhancements can tell you some truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for noises,
definitely.
Especially for noises.
Yeah, but that house was the walls were so thin. And in one of Dylan's interviews, she even says, I knew it was her because I can hear everything in this house because the walls are paper thin. I think that was her word, and I don't remember word for word.
Well, that's interesting. That's definitely interesting. I appreciate you calling in. I'm going to comment on that, and I'm going to bring up Ass Man next. So I appreciate you, UK Claire. Have a great night.
See that.
Yep. See ya. I'm a little bit sad that she didn't start with Dylan's a wanka, but other than that, that was a great call. And yeah, maybe the leak did get the name wrong. Maybe that was them saying that Dateline was like, we're not going to leak the name, but we know maybe Kaylee went upstairs and interrupted it. Someone's here, ran downstairs. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. Oh, we did have Ass Man backstage, and why is Sherlock saying God damn it, Jeff? God damn it, Jeff. Man, I need to play that crash out again. But all right, we got Ass Man next. He dropped off, and then we got Amanda K. So Ass Man, you are now live. How are you doing?
Well, there we go. Got the latte open.
The push lattes. I love it.
So I have to apologize in advance. I just joined the live. Could you just give me a quick rundown of what this leak was? Because this is news to me.
Yeah. So I will give you a 30-second elevator pitch. The leak theory that I have, we know that there's court documents about it. We know there's supposed to be a special prosecutor looking into the leak for the Dateline episode. In the Dateline episode, there's really only one part that they say sources close to us say that Xana was in the kitchen eating DoorDash on TikTok when she hears something going on upstairs. And I talked about the switchback stairs, how if Xana was like looking up the stairs, and if Kaylee had yelled, someone's here, which drew Xana to go over there and look, and somebody looked over the banister what Dylan could have heard was Kaylee yell, "Someone's here." Kaylee gets dragged into Maddie's room. That's why they're both in the same bed. And what Dylan actually heard could have been an intruder chasing Xana. Xana's barricading her door, hence why there's no blood of Xana's outside of her room. She was holding the door, and that's why there's blood spatter in Xana's room. Does that make sense? Hopefully I explained that good.
Yeah, that could make sense. I mean, if it, like the last caller was talking about with there being a second intruder, I'm still a firm believer that if there was a second intruder, they were down by the front door near Bethany's room. Maybe they were standing guard. Maybe they were just like watch, like a lookout.
Yep, that makes sense.
Now,
do
whether
you guys
it was Xana, I mean, I don't think it was Xana because her blood wasn't on the. And correct me if I'm wrong. If Xana's blood wasn't on anywhere in the living room or on the staircase going from the living room down to the front door.
Correct. But my point was that if Xana was just minding her business eating, she wouldn't have been bleeding. And then if she saw the intruder or did see Kaylee and Maddie getting attacked, then she would not be bleeding by the time she got into her room.
Right. Oh, and that I just thought of this too. What if when she's in the kitchen, what if the second intruder happened to go into Xana's room, attacked Ethan without Xana knowing? He puts up a fight and maybe she can't hear him putting up a fight because he hears what's going on upstairs. She goes in to barricade the room. Let's say her bedroom lights just happen to be off when she's barricading the door. She's not going to see that Ethan is deceased.
Yeah, I
she's
mean,
yelling for him. I mean, there's too much going on in that audio to where they can't cover this shit. I don't know why they keep giving not only us in the Hive, but just giving just the world the shaft. This is how it happened.
And let me ask you this. Maybe this could be a good question for the call-in. How do you guys think that Kaylee's blood is in the living room? Okay, so you can comment on the leak or give a theory on how did Kaylee's blood, it's random. It is random. It's not that much. You know, it's ping pong table. It's on the wall a little bit. But like, how does that happen? Even if she was knocked out down there, right? Like, that blood is pretty far away from each other.
I'm still convinced that Quinn Kelly is involved.
Okay.
So I'm thinking maybe he was the one attacked since he was into the rugs. If Kaylee and Maddie were the ones that flushed the rugs, he was the one attacking them. Dylan knew what was going on. She was just, hiding because she was maybe scared that it was actually happening. That's why she was spared. They thought Bethany was asleep or, locked in her room, whatever the hell her excuse was. I don't trust her one fucking bit. Let's say Quinn, after attacking Kaylee and Maddie, runs downstairs from all the commotion with the weapon he was using. Let's say the spatter got into the living room from him running down the stairs through the living room to go and help whoever's trying to get into Xana's room. I mean, there's hundreds of possibilities of what could go on, and I love the fact that we can all speculate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's great. I mean,
go off of each other and just, try to put some sort of normal friggin' scenario together.
That's what I mean, dude. It's like, I try, and I appreciate the call, Aspen. I'm going to put you down. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You have a great night. Enjoy the Bush Latte.
Oh, absolutely, brother. For the Hive. Here we go.
See you, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. It's like, I try to do my best to hear everybody's theories because I like how it can make my brain go in different directions. But, yeah, I mean, I was just curious on your guys' thoughts about that. There's obviously a whole bunch of different stuff that could have happened. Some people say, no, this is the only way it happened. I don't take that approach, right? For better or worse. I do believe that there are people Like one of the things that really has stuck with me is UK Claire, the one that had called in. She had the Discord question of the day yesterday, and the victimology of it is really something that I think has not been dove into as hard as it should have been. They really made the lone wolf actor what their victimology was. They made what they needed to be a lone wolf actor narrative with an awkward criminology student to pass as what they deemed victimology. But really, it's one of the most important aspects that nobody has really talked about. This seems personal. There was a cleanup. Bodies were posed. Nobody's talking. There's a fear element. There's the national security element. Like there is a victimology. We would be able to put together a victimology based on aspects. And so like ones in the chat, 100%, they had to know who did this to them. Or two, and you could say a two, if you think that it could have been somebody random that really had no connection to them, but was sent there to do it. Where are we at on that? Because that is something I've wondered too. They say there's no connection, but what if it really could have been somebody that had no connection to them, but it was a hit put out by somebody that did have a connection to them? I tend to obviously take the side of the ones. I'm just asking that question. Yeah, I agree. It feels very, very personal. Where'd that comment go? Brian Koberger has no friends, no online presence. They thought nobody would care, thought he would disappear as much as he was ever here. So this is an interesting comment. Radina said, what if it was just a result of an overdose cover-up? It's been a question asked many times. I've shown Officer House's body cam where he goes to that dude's apartment and he says the rumor that I heard was cocaine. And then if you look at Gunderson, they're all saying like, I didn't hear gunshots. So how do they do this? How did they do this? Every single night we sit here, we'll look at stuff, we'll take time, we'll watch other creators. How does nobody know? How does nobody know? It's maddening. It's maddening and it's confusing. Rachel Butler 777 says, I live in Moscow. I remember hearing fentanyl that first day. What a wild cover up though to stab people or fake a stabbing death and frame a guy for an OD. Right? Doesn't that seem like over the top extreme that toxicology would be able to figure out? So then it would be like the toxicology people are hiding those results. Could happen. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely could happen. But it just seems very extreme. And I feel like if you would have the OD thing, I feel like people would maybe keep their mouths shut more than a quadruple murder cover up. Like not only did you sell them drugs that people OD'd on, you then bludgeon them. That's crazy. And that's my thoughts on that. So, and also I saw a couple of people asking before to see the Jeff H crash out. Jeff, good times, buddy. Let's go ahead and watch this. God damn it, Jeff. Name one thing that you've done that says you're trying to figure out the puzzle pieces. No, you haven't. You haven't, bro. Stop lying to yourself. And I'm not just trying to call you out because, yes, you're a very easy target, okay? That's why I haven't. I'm going to be honest. It's not even a challenge to call you out, Jeff. It's so easy. It's so fucking easy. It's not even fun. That's why I don't do anything to you in the chat. I just ignore it. I laugh. If anything, I go along with it. Okay, so don't say we're trying to all figure it out. No, we're not. We are trying to figure it out. You are not. God damn it, Jeff. Nick. Oh, that was 3 days off the nicotine, or like the vape, rather. I tried to go cold turkey, and Jeff unfortunately felt the wrath of that. But oh, I just saw a super chat. Somebody said, "Oh, is the link not working?" Here, I'll drop it again, Blue-Eyed Candy. Here it is. I'll take a couple more calls. Hear your guys' thoughts. Yeah. I remember when Outkast played that on his stream. I was just in his chat. I had no idea he was going to play it. But he's like, why does Jeff sound like it's a part of the cuss? Like, God damn it, Jeff. Like, we got Blue-Eyed Candy backstage. How are you doing, Blue-Eyed Candy? You're now up on stage. Can you hear us?
Yes, Bertie, hang on. I don't know it's.
We got you now.
Okay, you got me?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now. It was echoing.
Okay, nice. Well, we got you loud and clear. What's up?
It's all playing back to me. It keeps playing back my voice.
Oh, what? You got to close YouTube.
Okay. When I think about that area, I can't get out of my head. Oh, wait. Well, let me see. Hang on a second. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm an amateur. Okay. Thinking about that, if we have multiple perpetrators, I just think of it being almost like we had, I guess, make up our minds who we thought was involved. And if it's Malwich, if it's, if we're still looking at the Kopaka, who all would be involved, if it's part of a hit. I always just see it as like a frenzy hit. I remember watching last year when Pop come out with like the prison hits and the style at which they did, like they were in and out, very vicious. Think about, their stab wounds to their head, to their neck. And those are like primary targets. And it's like, they're just in and out. Thinking about Kaylee, I don't know, her being so disfigured. I know there's been, nothing's been ever, what would you say, verified as far as a second weapon, as far as they say, or there being a gun involved or a beanbag gun. But I've done research and the type of damage that can do, if that was what Bethany thought she heard, if that's, even true.
I got a question for you too, because I've always wondered, where did the origin of the beanbag gun come from?
That's a good question.
Somebody in the chat will know, but I believe that the second weapon was a gun, and I believe that they never found it, or it was completely discarded, or it was like what a ghost gun is, like the serial number scratched off of it. So I don't,
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. But if that would have been, and, it's non-lethal, but if it was shot at her face, just thinking about her, her teeth were knocked out, her nose was broken. That would be like an impact injury, of course, would have, think about how her blood, I don't know if we say spattered or she coughed. She could have been shot in the throat. I mean, the damage that I read that it does there, because I think her airway was even, they said that it was obstructed, and then across, her mouth. I don't know if they pried down. I thought about that too. I know what they say, like a butt of a gun or some particular type of gun. if she had been on the ground and they, said like they looked like maybe there was strangulation or asphyxiation. Maybe they were, I don't know that. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Torture. I mean, that kind of was like a torture, and it would have to be, I don't know, there's so much, the viciousness of Kaylee and the damage done. That one's a hard one. I think too, when we say screaming, I don't know as far as throats, if they had gone in quick on that, and you're not really going to hear much if they take out their throats. I mean, they can't really scream with that. If they don't.
I agree. Let me ask you this, and this is a good question for everybody in the chat too, in the Hive. So, how, for example, like the G family has talked about, and in general, a lot of people have said, just stop talking about this case, stop letting it go. I've tried to think of maybe an outside of the box reason why that is. And let's say that we obviously all believe that something else happened, right? There's a slew of reasons of what could have happened. Do you think that now it's gotten to the point where this did get way bigger than they thought it ever would? And now it's like, oh, there are real consequences of what is being dug up on people because of the cover up. Like if the cover up would have never happened, nobody would have been digging into this. This would probably still not be all over the media and in the news. Do you think that could be a motivation for them to say, just stop? Like it's something so different. You guys aren't ever going to figure it out.
I mean, it kind of contradicts them wanting everybody to stop when they have this lawsuit. To think that, they don't want to hear from BK, for him to go away, to think that he's not going to be brought back into this. I don't know if they have some type of super 3D chess game they're playing to bring out that, in the civil case, that they have, if, I don't know, there's been rumors. I've been seeing things popping up and talking about BK being called to testify. And if that's the case, maybe inadvertently they're wanting things to be exposed. It's hard to, I don't know. It's hard to tell with them. I always feel I can't imagine what it's like to be a parent as I am a parent, their position. But then I they really got under my skin this last time, how they look at, our community and the fact that we question things. I mean, they're smart people. I don't care, especially Steve. And I just don't see how he doesn't see what we see, like all the inconsistencies, and not to question it. Maybe that's what this lawsuit's going to do.
It could be. And like, imagine how hard it must be knowing the truth and having to go up there and know that this is going to be picked through, people hanging on every word. But again, the internet, I hold this belief very tight to the vest. I don't think that we caused any of this. I really don't.
No, I don't either. And I mean, honestly, all of us looking, we want true justice, and it's not about, we think BK's innocent. And if we do, it's not that we're delusional. It's just there's too many inconsistencies, and I don't know. I would want, if it was me, I would want the right ones held accountable. And the fact that they're hell bent on it just being the lone wolf. And that part I can't wrap my head around it.
No, I can't.
Because it'd be something, unless they know, unless Brent is involved, they know he's no longer on this earth and is not a threat. And the Malwich guy, he's not a threat either.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
dead men tell no tales. So
that's right.
Well, I appreciate your call, Blue Eyed Katie. Great chatting to you as always, and I hope you have a fantastic evening.
Thank you. You too.
Yep. See ya. We got a couple more people backstage, and next up we have Investigator Bus. Investigator Bus, how are you doing tonight? Bueller.
There I am. You hear me okay?
Yeah, sit a little bit closer to your phone.
Sorry about that.
Now you're on mute again. You're good. Oh, mute, unmute, mute, unmute. If it's still being weird, here, I'm gonna take you down for a second. Just rejoin. I'll let you back up. So sometimes it's funky. Make sure you got all the speakers and everything enabled. All right, next up we got Maya. Beyond reason doubt. How are you doing? Good to hear from you.
There it goes. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. Just turn down the TV a little bit, and then just make sure you're holding your phone a little bit close to your mouth.
I'm doing great. Hi, Hive.
All right, let me turn this up a little bit. All right, we got you loud and clear.
I swear I'm like a 65-year-old grandma trying to figure out phone for the first time.
If you guys have YouTube open, swipe out of YouTube on your phone.
Good. So with this leak, you have to, I guess, kind of guess what information was leaked.
Yep.
Let me see. Does that work better?
Yep, we got you. You're good.
Okay. Because I can't hear you talk. I'm gonna exit and then reload.
Okay, sounds good. No worries, guys. Yeah, guys, and I get it. There's some people's phones. It's it's a little bit weird. I see Assman is back. Let's hear what Assman's got.
All right, new theory.
All right, let's hear it.
I'm gonna go with, instead of Dylan's friend, like Dylan having her friend over, let's say it was Quinn. Quinn sells them some drugs or rugs, whatever we're allowed to call it on YouTube. He notices they're starting to OD. He panics. Oh shit. What do I do? Dylan, go to your room. I'll be in a minute. He makes it look like a murder.
It's all legend. That is all legend, and
it is, but I mean, hell, I'm just thinking. And then another thing I saw in the comments, people going, "You couldn't flush all that down the toilet." Yeah, you believe me, you'd be amazed what you can flush down some toilets.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I just feel like the stabbing to cover up an OD is just so over the top.
It could be, but all this stuff, like you said earlier, like just a couple minutes ago, about how it went public, and how now they're going, oh shit, well now now there's consequences for. Well, that's what happens when you let the media in on what the hell's going on. Especially on social media, shit will spread like fucking wildfire.
It will. And it's just like, it's so interesting too, that nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody knows.
Oh yeah, everyone plays dumb. Everyone who was close to that case plays dumb. And like a couple callers ago, I heard, as a parent, I'm a parent. Don't tell me you would not go and fight from every end of the earth to bring whoever killed your baby
right
to justice. I just don't. I don't get that, and how you can just cover up.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. That's.
I agree.
Ridiculous. Give your kids justice.
I agree, man. And who knows? Like, I also say too, like, behind the scenes, I'm sure it's got to be high stress. It really has to be. I mean, it'd be high stress.
Absolutely. For anybody. I couldn't imagine being one of the parents in all this stuff. I mean, you'd.
No, I agree, man. That's a good theory. And I'm going to put you down and get to Maya and Investigator Bus. But I'm going to look for your guys' comment, or I'm going to look for your comment in the chat, man. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, no problem, man.
See you, bro. All right, guys. So it's interesting. I would highly recommend, I would put out a request to the Hive. If you're listening to this right now, use the search engine Yandex, YANDEX. Okay. There's so much different reports on what happened, and I'm going to show you guys this one. Here's another example. Why did 2 remaining survivors wait 8 hours before calling 911? Early police reports said that Funk and Mortensen, who lived on the bottom floor of the house, recruited friends to the scene before one of them finally called 911 at 11:58. I put this on here, and I'm glad I remember this because I always think to what Steve said, he didn't have to go up the stairs. They didn't have to go up the stairs. He didn't have to go up the stairs. And I'm like, if Dylan and I don't know, there's weird shit now that it's like, I can't not say that once my brain thinks it. Okay. If there was 5 roommates living there, if they just, I don't know. I have no idea. I thought it was interesting. So I hope you guys at this point, if you've tuned in for a while, you understand that my brain works like that. You might like it, you might hate it, but I can't change it. I can't. Maybe without being like medicated heavily. But all right, next up we have Investigator Bus is back. Hopefully
Yo, I'm back.
All right, now we got you.
What's up, Birdie? Dude, first of all, I don't think your mind is crazy at all. I think you're just like a lot of people. I really do. So don't think that you're different, like in a bad way. Okay.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So to keep it real with you in the Hive, you know, I kind of tune in whenever I can. But I used to call in like a few months back, and that was when I first started getting into this. And it still just rubs me the wrong way about how the cops just, I don't know. I always question the cops. I question body cams. I question, you know, false reports. And, you know, I'm not trying to say all cops are like this, but, you know, if you're a cop for a certain amount of years, I'm sure, you know, you're not the same cop you once were when you started. And that's for any job.
Pause. Dude, that is a hell of a quote. And again, nobody's saying all cops are bad, but I'm sure that if you've been a cop for a handful of years, you're not the same cop that you were when you started, for better or worse. Think about the time that if you get corrupted, if you get paid off, once you dabble in that.
Now, here, Bertie, I want to stop you right there because the word corrupt is a word that they like to manipulate. Okay. The word corruption carries a lot of different definitions. There's different ways to be corrupt. So you got to think about it. It could just be literally one corrupt cop and he's playing a role. Like maybe he's a senior cop and he knows that some of his other cops aren't the smartest. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just spitballing here. Like maybe he knows that he has a one-up on all these people and he can, like, honestly, like the cops have to be involved in this, dude. Like, I'm not trying to sound crazy.
You're good. Yeah, I don't think you sound crazy.
I've personally like seen cases where cops don't get it right. And I'm just going to keep it a buck, dude. Cops don't always get it right.
I agree.
So they show up on the scene and they have to write a report based on what they're showing up to. Okay. Now these are college kids that just left their parents' home and they've been babied their entire life and they know how to get everything they want and they know how to talk to people a certain way and manipulate conversations with policemen who they know are just college town police officers, man. And, you know, there comes a point where that cop has to make a decision and he has to either believe them or he has to actually do his job.
Well, and I think, and the chat saying too, it's like, yeah, they might not just get it right, but then you have to add in the second part of that, just to segue off what you said, is if it's intentional. Now, I think I see where you were kind of going with that point of like, it could just be one person, right? I think how I would sum that up is
it could be. I mean, we've all had a supervisor for a position that sucks. Like, let's be honest, and they get fired months or years later. Like, this happens everywhere. Why wouldn't it happen in the department of this? Like,
I agree. And to finish that point, I was just going to say though, it comes back to the magnitude of what does a conspiracy or a cover up really need? It doesn't have to be a bunch of people in on it. Like in this case, people will debate. Yes, everybody's in on it. But really, if you look at like your classic cover ups from a cop, it's like 1, 2, 3, like 3 cops maybe that they have their polls, they have their connections, right? So I see your point, man. And so I also think that you're spot on. I mean,
well, and I told you, bro, I don't call in a lot. I don't really, I kind of tune in when I want, and I still have that same thought, dude. I do. It's like, even when we watched the body cam footage months back about when they show up on the scene and the girl answers the door, and it's just, everything is so strange, dude. And the cops are just, dude, I'm sorry if this offends people. They're idiots. They're fucking idiots.
Well, I appreciate the call in, Investigator Bus. Good to hear from you again.
Have a good
Hopefully
one.
we hear from you again soon. Yep. Cheers. Oh, geez. That's funny, man. That is funny. All right. Now we got Maya. Hopefully we had Investigator Bus fix their technical difficulties. Maya, you are now on stage and live. How are you doing tonight?
I think I did it, guys.
Oh, yeah. We got you so much louder and clearer now.
I had to crush a blue and come on back. Sorry, team. So
Why?
I know. I'm sorry. I brought it back up.
No, people have been asking what a Blue Chew is. It's essentially it's a rebranded Viagra. Okay, so for people in the chat that didn't know.
It's a milli-vanilli. It's what the ADHDers use.
Yeah.
Get our brains right. Okay, so we're going back to the question of what I think of the leak.
Yeah.
So I think the leak is something that they didn't want to uncover. If you think about it, it could be possible of the tracking of
who didn't want to uncover?
The investigators, but not only the investigators, both PDs. Because in the actual Dateline episode, it talked about Brian Koberger going around the house 23 times. To be able to access that information, that might have been where the CI came into with the Stingray box. Or it links the investigation or the team that they had for the drug force task. They might have had something operational that was supposed to be private and remain private.
That's honestly
a leak.
Oh my God, that's a great take, because that would explain why the judge is so pissed, or why maybe the parents are pissed, is because really what that leak would expose is the operation.
Yep. And
that's
it
a
says
really
the
good
words
take.
drug force. And so they don't want drugs to be next to the names of the universities. You know what I mean? Like, and the parents didn't want that. They kept saying that in every interview. It's not drug related. It's not drug related. The kids had nothing to do with drugs.
Well, it's so like, do you believe? Okay, so how can I say this? Because I know as soon as I say this, people are gonna be like, yeah, okay, Brady. But when I say, like, when I think of college kids and doing drugs, I think recreational party drugs, and I think that you might have like a buddy that is like slinging it, right?
Yeah.
But to the level that there's hundreds of thousands of dollars rumored to potentially be flushed, that's a full-on trap house, stash house. That is like, you don't just let anybody do that. And
No,
I would
you
find
have
it very
trust.
rare. I'd find it very rare that those girls would hold that for somebody that they weren't like extremely tight with. You know what I mean?
Well, you have to also think about Xana and Ethan. Xana was considered one of the most popular girls on campus. Ethan was a part of literally the most popular fraternity house. I'm not saying that they were
right
dealers, but they were around a lot of people that wanted supplies, and people go through coke like crazy, especially in college.
Yeah, I agree with
party
that.
scenes.
I do agree with that. I'm not saying that there's not weight. I just think, again, I just feel like that's. I could be naive on that. I absolutely could be naive.
That's in the pictures, in the in forensic pictures. They take a picture of the air vent that's directly underneath the good vibes sign in the living room. Right on the screw holes, it looks like fresh white paint.
Yeah, I've seen people point that out.
Yeah, I've always been curious why they took so many photos of that one spot. It didn't have any blood on it. There wasn't any like disturbance to it. It only had a very white by the screw holes. It could have been a possible hiding spot.
Yeah, I've heard people say that. I just asked the Hive, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Like the stash spot. Am I misremembering, or didn't they have like wasn't there a van outside that was like an HVAC
A gold van. The
Yeah.
gold van. And there was witnesses that had seen it by what's his name? JD's house. Jack DeCour's house.
Yeah.
The gold van was there like 2 or 3 times. Someone had mentioned it because they were going to call the police in. But where they were sitting too looked like a direct line to the back of the house.
Yeah, well, and then that's also where like if undercover cops, like I feel like they would use something like that to go inside.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like I feel like the movies like that where it's like a box truck, or if it's a van that has like, and like these cops will be wearing like fake construction outfits. I feel like that probably happens more than we realize.
And there's another possibility of the WSU's crime technology being used in this investigation that they weren't ready to release either. Because what I did was I tracked the things that Dateline got right and the things that they got wrong. Sometimes
Share a
people are
couple.
telling the truth. Okay.
Yeah, take your time. I'm gonna go in the comments while you pull that up. That's interesting. Yeah, like why place drugs into the airborne, or that can be airborne into the air vent? Yeah, I mean you got to trust that it's sealed right. Or if they were used daily, again, it's just I could be a naive. I saw people saying like, no, Birdie, they do, and
they do the drugs. They do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I have it.
Yeah, just read a couple.
Okay. So what Dateline got right was Kohlberger's phone connecting 23 times in 4 months to a cell tower near King Road. They also got the searches of Ted Bundy, but not the pornography part. There was nothing ever found about that.
Like and the murder porn?
The weird passed out, drugged, whatever. And then the never before seen surveillance video showing a car believed to be Kohlberger's. And then what they got wrong, though, was the whole house setup, the way they thought the attacks happened. Like there was clearly things that were pointed out. And they got the sexual deviance angle wrong.
That felt like it was wrong on purpose, in my opinion.
Definitely. They were painting a picture of Brian Kohlberger to the public where it would be also impossible to get jurors that weren't tainted, that didn't hear about this guy. If you were trying to get a word out about somebody, you would use every channel that you could. Books, interviews, writings, news stations. You would want his information and your view out on everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good take. Do you have anything about like the actual murder scene, like the crime scene of like the bodies placed as far as the documents go? What they showed?
Yes. I actually I think I emailed you guys a very, very detailed analysis.
You did. And I got that call with the animation guy tomorrow too.
Good. That was after Blue Chew too. So when you're thinking about the actual crime scene, so one, we can just base it right off the bat with the blood and the splatters and the location of those, the directions they're going. You have Kaylee's downstairs on the ping pong table, on the short side wall, on the back behind the short side wall, and then you have a little bit of Kaylee's up on the stairwell, and then it looks like a hair rub, like someone's hair that had blood on it on Maddie's door, which means that someone had to get out of bed. And so
I agree with that.
Yeah. So the way that they were saying, like, this Kohlberger figure just walked up in there and went stabby, stabby, stabby. And Maddie and Kaylee were sharing a teeny tiny twin bed when she's got her own bed right across the way. I mean, I love my friends, but I ain't getting that close with you to sleep.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to say that, everyone was sleeping. Da, da, da. But how did just Kaylee's blood get down on the ping pong table if she was never supposed to be attacked down there? Did he just splash his knife everywhere, just flicking it off?
Well, and that is one of the things that the cast off or the impact, I feel like I don't know, but in my head, I feel like that could be up to debate by some experts, depending on if it's for the prosecution or if it's from the defense. I don't know if it's as obvious. I just don't know enough about it. Yeah. I don't think it's a stretch at all that they would argue blood, like the blood patterns, right?
There's a whole system and ways to determine where it came from, what type of injury, all of that. That itself. And plus, I saw a picture of the front of Xana's door. There's these 3 large blood drips that are out, like on the front of the door. So no matter if the door was closed or open, there's these 3 long drip blood stains on the door. Why would you not check on your friends?
Well, on Xana's door.
Xana's door.
I'm telling you, if the perp ran down the stairs after killing Maddie and Kaylee, and Xana's like barricading herself against the door, trying to hold it shut, and that perp did have blood on him, I could see that.
Yeah.
Being from Matt. But again, it's like, I don't know. I wish that somebody would just come clean, because
someone's got to slip or break soon. The guilt's got to be killing them.
Oh, I just saw a good comment. Bertie, I'm a phlebotomist. Please let me on if it works. Yeah, Amanda, I'll have you be the last caller after Maya. Yeah. No rush, Maya. You got some other stuff.
There is a blood pattern analysis that I found. If I'll put the link in the Discord if anybody wants to look at it.
Yeah, please do.
There's another angle. How did Kaylee get money to get a Range Rover when she didn't secure the text? She wasn't going to the Texas job. She was in an internship that wasn't paying her well. And then all of a sudden she got big pockets.
I don't know. The money thing is always
something and sell it that wasn't hers.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I feel like the money thing has always been weird to me. And I don't know. Everybody feels differently about money. Like, is there something that she stumbled upon with money? Did she sell it? Did she have a quick come up? Did her grandma just loan her it? I don't know. Right. Like, it's a brand new Range Rover, so it's not cheap, whether you're just doing payments or a lease. So
I saw someone made a comment about grandma helping out. Grandma helped out with $1,000 for the down payment.
Right.
She was short 1,000, but she came up with this 6,500, which could be because there was a interview. I think it was supplement 46. The girl that they were interviewing, she was saying that Kaylee was all of a sudden buying everybody's drinks and tabs.
Yeah,
it's not normal behavior.
What about the Hex crypto?
Oh my God, crypto.
No, those are great points. I appreciate the call, Maya. Thank you for popping back up and getting the audio fixed.
Bye, Hive.
Yep, see ya. And I'm going to have Amanda be the last call for tonight. So I know I let Ask Man up twice, but usually I try to only have people pop up once, see a couple other people backstage. But Amanda will be the last call of the evening. Amanda, you are on stage. How are you doing?
Hello, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. So you are a phlebotomist.
I am, yes. I'm a nationally certified phlebotomist, and I actually worked at a plasma center for over 3 years. So I worked with the 17 gauge needles, which are like one of the biggest. And the blood, patterns and splatters do not really, in my opinion, do not match what I've seen, even just doing phlebotomy.
In what way? Can you go a little
in
deeper
what
on
way?
that?
I guess the amount, because there's so much more that, blood comes out. And it's like, I feel like viewing those scenes, they were almost lacking the amount of blood that should have been there. So there could be minuscule things, but there's like a plethora of blood that comes out just doing venipuncture. And so that was very interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, you've probably, for just drawing blood or drawing plasma, you've probably been, I guess if you didn't know how that goes down, you'd probably be like, wow, that's a lot of blood for just a blood draw
Right.
that came out.
And one time someone like ripped their they yanked back and the needle pulled out of their arm, and it was like it was a bloodbath. But in comparison to what I'm seeing in the crime scene photos, it doesn't really match what I've seen just someone like taking blood out of someone's arm. So that's just I guess food for thought.
Well, now see, this is where there is an argument to be made, going back to what Olivia said about the experimental wounds. Like, was this has anybody ever heard that term, by the way? Like, what is an experimental wound? And would that mean maybe the lack of blood that you would expect to see is because the heart is not pumping?
Mm-hmm.
Are you following me with that? Like, would that maybe make more sense? No?
That's a great take, because your blood is not, if it was after the fact, your blood is not pumping through the veins and the arteries.
Right. So therefore it would just like, but then when you see the splatter and the cast off, like that just seems like that's coming from a weapon that's making all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked this up. Okay. Experimental wound post-mortem refers to a wound intentionally created on a dead body for experimental or investigative purposes. It's usually done in forensic science. It is not an injury that occurred while the person was alive. So experimental, the part of the meaning of the term, breaking it down, done deliberately. Post-mortem obviously means after death. When you combine it, like the experimental post-mortem wound would be a wound produced on a corpse to study how certain injuries appear or behave. Okay. These wounds are done typically, right, in forensic science. So like post-death to study. And it's to compare injuries to determine whether a real wound on the victim occurred before death or after death. They reconstruct a crime, meaning they'll test whether a particular weapon or tool could create the wound pattern seen on the body. They go to observe differences such as bleeding, tissue reaction, wound edges, bruising, and a wound inflicted while alive usually shows what's known as vital reactions, which is bleeding into the surrounding tissue, inflammation, and bruising. A post-mortem wound, including the experimental ones, it lacks these reactions because the circulation has stopped. Here's an example. A body has a stab wound, and investigators suspect it might have been caused after death. A forensic pathologist may create a controlled experimental stab wound on the corpse with the suspected weapon to compare depth, shape, tissue characteristics, and it will determine whether the original wound happened before or after death. That's interesting. So pretty much, which every time I say pretty much now, I think of Dylan Mortensen, and every time that I say apparently, I think of that little kid on Ellen. Okay. So when I say, so pretty much what you're saying is that even drawing blood, you're just shocked from the sheer amount that when somebody pulls away.
I guess, the lack of blood that's presented when they find it. But then again, too, it's like blood literally gets quite literally everywhere. So they would never let us go like onto like the beds where they would have the donors and us sticking. Like they would never let us touch quite literally anything, the walls, the beds, the machines, because everything, blood goes everywhere.
Yeah. I mean,
from like the naked eye, it's quite literally everywhere. And so it's kind of wild seeing them handle it the way that they did, in the manner.
I agree. And I appreciate the insight, Amanda. I hope you have a great night.
Of course. Can I say a couple more things or questions? Okay, I'm so sorry. So a couple of things that I had notated. Who was Kaylee backpacking within Europe per her parents. And then let's see. When Steve, I don't know if you've seen this interview, but Steve said he had advised Kaylee at one point to jump out her window
I've not seen that.
because, yeah, I'll try to send you the interview if I can find it. But he advised her, I guess he said someone was playing a prank on her and she was hiding under the bed. And he said to jump out her window. So that was very interesting.
I have heard the playing the pranks thing. I did not catch the window part though.
Yeah, if I can find the interview for you, I'll send it because it was Steve himself saying it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, please do.
All right, but I appreciate you so much.
Yo, I appreciate you calling in, and I hope you have a fantastic evening.
Thank you. You too.
Yep. Bye bye. Man, that's awesome. Whenever I randomly kind of open up the chat, I like doing that, and I always appreciate the people that are willing to call in. Now, obviously, I gave my theory tonight on this. I'm not sure if that's what happened. It was a hypothesis on what the leak could be and if it could fit within. So don't go and say, Birdie believes this. No, we hypothesize on this channel. We're never going to stop doing it. I hope you guys appreciate it. I appreciate when you guys do it. And just know that in a case that's so convoluted with a bunch of wild information, I find that for my brain and how my brain works to be very effective. Get it out there, ask the questions, talk about everything. The other thing too that I just want to mention is starting next week, obviously I'm never going to stop covering the Idaho 4 case, but there's a lot of big stories and there's a lot of big headlines. So I'm going to start to sprinkle in, if there's not a massive update on the Idaho 4, or even if there's a little thing that we want to touch on, maybe some Hive Mind finds. I think it'd be important for us to stay up to date on some other stuff. Don't take that as if I'm giving up on it. I'm going to always do that. But one's in the chat. Do you guys agree? I mean, we like to talk about narratives, talk about headlines, think past the headlines. Do you guys understanding we're not abandoning the case? I feel like it could be fun. And I think this chat would benefit from that. And you know, I get people like, again, people are going to probably think the worst, like, oh, no, I'm not. I think it's healthy. I think it's mentally healthy to get some fresh eyes on something else. So with that, Hive, please hit the like button. I appreciate you all. Thank you to the callers. Thank you to everybody that gave a super chat. I think I got all of them. Oh no, I didn't. So Claire Buccanara said Dateline meant the trial wouldn't be fair, prompting the plea deal that gave defense time to regain support, access documents, and build corruption case against the police. Or against the prosecution. Sorry. Whoa. So if that was like a chess move, could you imagine if that was a giant chess move to give more time, which then would, it worked out. So then they take the plea. Huh. That's a good take, Claire. I could totally see that. I really could. I mean, because the defense was ordered to stop and don't destroy any records. So you never know. Thoughts loading. Thank you so much for the super chat. Said, hey, Birdie and Hive, I really want to know, 1, how the blood got smeared on a completely different building. 2, whose blood was that? I sent the PDF and pictures on Discord. Are you referring to when they were using the luminol and the black light over by the stairwell by the... Was that the Whites or the Queen Road apartments? I feel like we've seen that picture a handful of times. We used to talk about it all the time. But yeah, that is odd. I don't know if anybody's got an answer to that. And Truth Seeker So Awake said, what? The DNA expert's gone missing. Paula from Liverpool, UK. Wow. Like, what do you like? I've not heard about that. It was at the White's apartment or the Queen Road's apartment. Hopefully. See, I don't know. That's crazy. She's just gone missing. She's been abducted, or. Paula? Or is that a completely different case? No. Genesis Reed? Yeah, check it. Check about the law. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to look into that. Oh, Wicca heard that too. Good to see you, Wicca. Yeah, I will look that up. Okay, so oh, she's Paula from the UK. Jesus, that's what I was. That's on me. Yeah, here it is. This is 2 days ago. This is the
in the Idaho 4 Koberger case. Was one of the defense witnesses badgered off the stand by the lead prosecutor? And is that witness intimidation? I'm attorney Andrew Myers. This is About the Law. We have a special guest this time, Dago. What a crazy case. I mean, you go back and you look at things and you wonder how they could have happened. That's my opinion. I'm attorney Andrew Myers. This is About the Law with co-host Yoli Medina from California. How are you, Yoli?
I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm really.
I mean, that's like an hour video. Let's see. Is this? Oh, Gabrielle Vargas. Why did I type in Genesis Reed? I'm so sorry. Somebody was talking about Genesis Reed and my brain went there.
In the Idaho 4 Koberger case, was one of the defense.
It's the same thing. So she went missing? The FBI had... Huh. Let's just see. Why does Google not just show the most recent news? Not missing. Okay. All right. Well, I looked into it. I'll continue to look that up. I want to find that video that somebody just did a video on the other day. Is that the video you were talking about? Was the law offices of Andrew D. Myers? Nonetheless, Hive, thank you all so much. Again, sorry for being 30 minutes late. Like I said, I had a lot of visuals to prepare today. Hopefully that theory made you all think. I thought we had a fantastic conversation. Not that we always don't have great talks, but tonight I thought it was a good one. So sleep good, everybody. I will see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central. Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.